Going live and try that.
Wanda waited while William wandered west.
All right, give me the. We're live here. So red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Wanda, what's the Wanda one?
Wanda waited while William wandered west.
Wall, wall.
Wanda
Wanda waited
while William wandered west.
while William wandered west.
Okay, Dr. Spock spoke softly of specific space specifications.
Dr. Spock spoke specifically of what?
Dr. Spock spoke softly of specific space specifications.
Oh my God.
Too much.
Audio's good. All right. We're getting voice warm-ups. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tongue Twister live stream from Ashland. We're actually going to make it as tight and concise today as possible. Red and yellow equals orange. That's another one, apparently. Thanks, Jim. And I want to show you some of the stuff that we're shipping out today, but also we're going to get into the private stock stuff. I want to make sure I have enough time to show you all that. So we're going to cut past me talking here unless you had any quick questions. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. There you go. Thanks, guys. So yeah, we'll flip the camera around here, go through some of the stuff we're shipping out, and then all the private stock. So there's 42 private stock items, all of which I'm super pumped about. So let's flip the camera around and look at some of the stuff that we're shipping out. I actually haven't seen these yet, so hopefully they're really cool. All right. Let's set this. Thanks for coming to hang out, guys. I see you, Jim. Marco, good to see you, Marco. And the timekeeper is here. Welcome, guys. Everybody else that's here, thanks for hanging out. All right. Looks like, first up, all right, man. All right, some of the stuff we're shipping out today. And Michael D, basically, I'm going to list off a bunch of people who have ordered over the last day. This might be one of your wallets here. So Michael D, Darieth S, John M, Japanese name I can't pronounce, Eric N, Andrew L, Samuel C, Nicholas C, Daniel K, Donna B, Nazar N, Tim M, Ricardo L, Tina Z, Cody V, Angela H, David E, Seth B, George B, King Shing. You might see your wallet in here, guys. So starting off first here, really nice piece of English Tan Dublin on a fat Herbie. And man, I love the color of this. It's got a really nice luster. If you're not familiar with the Dublin, this is a leather that's tanned using the same tree barks as all the shell Cordovan. So you get a lot of that nice veg character that most veg tan leathers have. It's like a lot more dense. And I think one of the best things about veg is when you wear it, it tends to transform and to accumulate and develop patina. So that's really special. Here's another Herbie. Let's just do the Herbies first. Check this out. This is a whiskey shell Cordovan fat Herbie with a super bright shiny luster. This is kind of how you want all the shells to appear from any tannery, really. Shell Cordovan's just known for having this mirror-like shine to it. Let's flip this guy around. The whiskey shell is a rare shell Cordovan color. This is a color that we had originally become kind of known for because we liked it and we ordered a lot of it. And you could kind of only get a whiskey shell wallet from us for a little while. And I love this color. So it took a couple of years to get the shells in. So anybody that doesn't know, you can't just get the Cordovan. It takes quite a while. So all the Cordovan that you see here, these are things that we've ordered from the tannery 2 years ago. 1 to 2 years is roughly how long it takes. So here's a small batch Bugs Moran. These are now sold out. This is a denim blue shell Cordovan Bugs Moran. I love the aqua blue on this, and the inside more of that denim blue shell. So a few of these are going out today. So this might not be exactly yours. I think we sold 3 or 4 of these. So you'll be getting yours soon. And here is another Bugs. Another English Tan Dublin piece. Check that out. Really nice natural character on the English Tan Dublin. There has a really great color to it. I like the depth of color. You can see the pull up here. This is technically on the Dublin, we call this a burst effect because we're displacing the wax layer that was finished onto the top surface of the grain. And we displace that you see a little bit more of these undertones. So all the English Tan Dublin is actually matched for this undertone color. You might think of this as in the same way the Chrome Excel has a pull-up effect. On the Dublin, we call it a burst. So it ranges a little bit more light, orangey, yellow, tan underneath, a little bit more brown and red on the surface. And that's a really nice looking bugs. What else we got here? I guess a couple small things. IMU is here, and Jared Smith. I'll be checking the chat here in a couple minutes. We got a natural shell Cordovan, Frank the Enforcer. This is about as minimalist as we get. The only thing smaller than this guy are the 1-shots and 2-shots. But man, that's a really clean looking piece of natural shell here. And here, speaking of 2-shots, looks like this is a 2-shot. So we have a 2-shot card case here in color 8 reverse. And this one has crazy dye marks on it. Check that out. And I've always liked the randomization on all of the reverse shell. And I like the ink stamp. That's why we started cutting these, just because I kind of thought it looked cool. So most people are trying to cut for the shell side. We just sometimes will cut the unintended reverse side just because it's unique and special. And look at this. So yesterday's video, I started talking about watch straps, which I don't do. We sell a lot of watch straps, and I don't talk about them enough. I sort of tend to go more towards the wallets and leaving the watches as a afterthought, which is a mistake because we make really nice watch straps. And this is an Apple watch band in natural shell. This one has the silver hardware on it. You can see on the buckle, and then these adapters that connect to the Apple Watch. Those are all the silver hardware. We also do a black hardware. But this strap here in natural shell, something like this is great. I'll turn down the light here. Something like this is great for patina, not just on a wallet, but also on a strap. I wore a strap similar to this for about a year, and it really got dark and golden and brown. It's a pretty sweet transformation. And the other special thing about our straps, unless otherwise noted, they're all unlined straps, which I tend to think have better aging and comfort characteristics. So this looks like a little bit of a wider strap. The lug widths on this appear to be more like a 22, 24 millimeter. And this looks like a short length. And this is also in that natural shell. So we do these straps for traditional watches as opposed to something like an Apple Watch band. But this part here on the back side, this is the part that's going to touch your wrist. And the reverse shell, again, because it's a veg tan, it just smooths up and polishes up really, really well. So it's a very, very comfortable strap. And that's why I prefer the unlined straps. There's a couple more straps. And you can see the length difference on this guy on the left. This is a short length strap. So the adjustment hole side, this side here, this is 105 millimeters long from the lug to the tip. And if you have a smaller wrist, this might be the one to go for. It looks like this is Whiskey Shell Cordovan, which is a little darker, a little bit more golden and yellow when compared to the natural shell. And we've got two more green straps here. Let's see what these are. So this looks like a Kia Shell Cordovan strap. And I, like I said, I haven't really looked at these before starting the video here, which I like to do because it keeps it exciting for me. But the Kia shell is this light green, and it's really, really nice. It's sort of like the color of the reverse black shell Cordovan. That's sort of, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit yellowy green. And I like the Kia shell because it's lighter than the normal green shells that Horween does. So something like a watch strap, it really, really reads more like a green shade. And sometimes those regular green shells or the intense blue shells, sometimes those read a little bit more black. So we've been trying to move more towards the lighter colored shells. Here's another green piece. This might be the regular green that I was just talking about. And there's something about putting a contrasting stitch on this. So we've got a little bit of like a sand color thread for this guy. There's something about doing that makes the color appear more vibrant. So I think if you didn't put that lighter color, this might appear a little bit more black. So that's a pretty nice strap. These must be special orders with contrasting thread. And I think they look pretty sweet. It looks like we have one more wallet here before we get to the private stock stuff. And it's a black Dublin Johnny the Fox. And I can't shut up about the Dublin leather, sort of just generally speaking. I just love the character in it. And it seems like a lot of you tend to agree. We sell a lot of Dublin wallets in the black and English tan colors. What's unique about the black here is you don't tend to see black leathers with natural character. And this is one of those things that I keep repeating. So if you're checking out these videos frequently, excuse me here, but take a look at the figuring in the grain here, that little bit of texture that sort of looks like spider webs or something. You don't see that in most black leathers, and it tends to get covered up by the finish that a tannery might choose to use on a piece of leather like black. And it tends to happen in black very frequently because they tend to want to cover up all their lower grades of leather with just a really heavy finish coat. And you don't really see any of these natural bits of character, which I love. And I think that's the whole point of making leather, is to have it look natural. If it looks like plastic, I just don't really see the reason to make leather at all. So this is a really special piece. The other thing that we do on our Johnny the Foxes is we use thin horsehides on the interior. So this is a special leather made just for us by Horween. It's a horsehide latigo piece that's extra thin. The horsehides are inherently thinner than steer hides, and that's what you use on the outside here. This is steerhide Dublin. It's inherently thicker than the horsehides, which are a little bit more thin. And then the method of processing the leather for the latigo on the inside, it tends to be thinner and stronger than most other leathers, which is why we chose this latigo tannage. And it just makes a really nice wallet. I've always liked a little bit of a thinner wallet, and it seems like these days, like this is very thin, especially for the amount of layers of leather inside here. I think that's about perfect. There's been a trend these days where people have a perception that thicker leather is better, and that's not necessarily the case. I mean, if you like thicker, that's cool, and you should request that from me, and I'll do my best to make a thicker piece for you. But I like the thinner ones just personally. So let's get the that's all the stuff that we're shipping today, or some of the stuff at least. And let's get the private stock going here. What's up, Matt? I'll put these away nicely first. And I see you guys chatting here. I can't read it. It's a little far away from where I'm at right now. But we'll get your questions after we go through the private stock. I'm going to have to wrap it up in about 45 minutes here. And I want to make sure we have enough time to get through all the private stock stuff, because I want you to see them before they become available. And at 5 o'clock Central Time today, that's when all the items will be going up and active on our website, on the flash sale page. And some of them tend to go very quickly. So I want to have this sort of, fair playing field where everybody has an equal opportunity to get it. Nobody's allowed to reserve them ahead of time. I don't accept that. And I want everybody to have a fair chance. So let's get into the private stock. All right. This is too big. Too big. Okay. So we got a whole bin of stuff I was going to put on the table, but it's too big to put on this table. So let's look at the Herbies first. And on the outside of this Herbie, this is the first one we'll look at from the private stock. We got 42 different items. So number one here is Color 8 Reverse on the outside on the Fat Herbie. This is the wallet style that I prefer. I've been using Capone recently, but I always have loved the Herbie, and I kind of miss it. On the inside here, this is something we don't see very often. This is raw amaretto shell Cordovan, and you can see in the center, this is the shell side of the Color 8 that we flipped around from the outside here. So that's the first one we'll look at. There's some really cool Herbies here, including this one. We got a natural shell Cordovan Herbie, and this is the leather that I suggest for people looking for patina. Something we did a little differently on this guy is we have this olive green stitching on the outside, which I think looks great. I kind of like this green and brown combo these days. Let me take a look at the inside. We flipped some green shell backwards on the interior of this one. So you see a little bit of more green dye marks on the green reverse, which are all these little splatters on the right side and on the left side. And then of course we've got that same green stitch going through the interior of that Herbie also. Here's a fun one. This is a little harder to describe, but this wallet here, if I can grab it without knocking everything over. This one here is a Fat Herbie, but the football leather on the outside here has been modified slightly. And let's see if I can do a demo here. See the texture of this football? So this started off with the actual pro ball leather, and then the tannery sort of knocks down the tips of the pattern, and it's a technique they call hammering. So normally these pebbles are sort of domed over and rounded. They sort of knock down the peaks, so it's a little flatter than a real piece of football. But what I like about it is it gives it a little bit more depth of color. So the peaks are a little darker now, and those valleys are still kind of light and red. So we got football on the outside here on top of color 8 shell. Let's see if I can get you back in focus. So football, color 8 shell. We got a red stitch on the inside, more red, which is the theme of this guy. We have some Garnet Shell Cordovan on the inside. And that's the most red shell color that Cordovan can make. And let me pause myself here. I'm going to get a better look at the chat here. If you guys want to see anything in particular specific that you're kind of got an eye on, let me know now, and then I can pull that and we can look at it first. All right, so hey Jared, I'm glad that you're able to make it here for a live stream. They're kind of fun. We'll do some questions at the end too, which I have a lot of fun doing it. I tend to not repeat myself as much in the questions because people have really interesting things to ask. I'm you. Sorry you got to go to work. We'll see you next time, man. And again, anybody that wants to see something specifically, if you had an eye on one of the Johnny the Foxes or something like that, let me know and I can skip that ahead of line. Let me show you that first. So this piece here, we use the same pattern as the Fat Herbie, but we've taken off the bill slot on the outside, and the idea was to make a simple passport holder using existing shapes. So you can see the flap here on the left that has this really cool branding on it. We left this open and didn't stitch it down, so you can put a passport in on this side. And these shells on the inside here have this interesting texture. This is actually tumbled shell cordovan in the natural color, and I like the tumbled shells a lot. In particular, I liked the blue and the color. I kind of liked them all. I like the blue and the color 8 the most. So I'd like to get some more tumbled shells in here soon. GV says, you got any UV? I know we do have. I have a couple ultraviolet pieces. In fact, I have several. So we'll skip those ahead of line. Again, anybody, if you want to see anything, if you're looking for a color, let me know and I can pull them out. All right, let's start with this guy. This is something that's brand new. You probably haven't seen this one before. Certainly you haven't, because I haven't either. This is something also new that I'm really excited about. This is one piece of leather, one continuous piece where we folded down the insides for the card holders, and I really like this for a very minimalist style. And the reason I like it is because of these turns here. You get this cool sort of like rolled edge, which is really nice. And this is in that ultraviolet shell that you were asking about. I really like the reverse side of the ultraviolet. These sort of pink purple dye marks that are all randomized. I think that looks really neat. And I got a couple more ultraviolet pieces. So this is a machine gun jack. Actually, I'm going to put these up at a sort of like a steal price, like a pretty good deal. We have 4 of them in the ultraviolet shell. This is another wallet that we don't have as a standard item on the site, but we can totally make it. The way that this one works is you can put cards in this slot here, and this is another one continuous piece of leather that happens to be symmetrical. Actually, Nick Corwin had a hand in designing this one a bunch of years ago. And I should probably bring this wallet back. It seems like a lot of people really like this sort of minimalist card holder. The reason that we stopped offering it as much is I wanted to have a card holder that could hold some cash kind of easily. But this one you have to fold cash into thirds in order to be able to fit it inside of this. Here's another, this is a reverse ultraviolet piece and sort of like another prototype card holder. This one's pretty sweet. It's also symmetrical. So we've got this card holder on the front. There's like a middle slot in the center here. And then there's a card holder on the back. And then Lupe likes to do this sort of border stitch on all the card holders, which I think gives it a nice little accent. And of course, the star of the show is that reverse ultraviolet, the dye splatter on this one. Aaron says the brand is awesome. Yeah, that's pretty wild, right? We've been trying to cut the brands into interesting spots. We don't see a lot of brands, but when I do, I try to cut them into something special. Grod Pro says, how much is the machine gun jack and shell? So normally these in the rare shell colors are like $135. In black and color 8 shell, they're $125. This one's going to be $50 off of the cheaper price. So this is going to be $75, which is a pretty good way to get some shell in your hand. That was sort of the idea for this, was to get more shell. If you've never experienced it before, I think it's such a special material that every now and then I'm going to try to reduce the price and, you know, not make any money on it just to get some more shell into people's hands. It's really special. Southside 6400, love the colors. I do too. And love that border stitch. Lupe's got a really good taste. I like it too. You'll notice a lot of I'll show you the watch bands in a minute. She does a lot of those watch bands, and Lupe likes to put pretty crazy border stitches on the watch straps. See you later, IMU. And we do have some more ultraviolet. So this is actually raw ultraviolet that is not as bright and shiny as the normal ultraviolet. It does have a bit of shine to it, but it's not as glass-like as the normal shells. And this is the Lexington Key Case. This screw post on the top here unscrews, and you drop your keys on the post, and your keys sort of swivel in and out of this. It's a pretty nice little minimalist sort of key case. And then the last crazy ultraviolet thing, check this out. This is one of my favorites from the batch for a bunch of reasons. Ultraviolet's awesome. It's a deep purple with like magenta pink undertones, and then I love the Western texture. This is my favorite texture that the tannery does. And Amir, who made this one, put a really nice hand stained edge to match that ultraviolet. He did that on all the edges for this wallet. And then this is really cool. On the inside is color 8 shell, and then it alternates with reverse color 8. So it's color 8, reverse, color 8, reverse, color 8. And I really like that. I think this one turned out extra special. And this is again the tall Tony. So there's this big bill slot in the back. This is like our normal Tony the Ant, except there's no thumb notch in the back exterior piece. So I think that's all the ultraviolet stuff I have. There might be, oh, you know what? There's a watch strap too. You know what? This is also raw. I think I may have mislabeled this. This is raw ultraviolet on an Apple Watch band, and this one's been hand stitched. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah, 75. I'm trying to keep it. I wanted to do. Oh, I'm knocking stuff over. I wanted to do a couple things snuck in here that are a little bit less expensive, and the machine gun jack here is going to be one of them. Grod Pro says I've been wanting one in denim blue for that price. Yeah, 75 is a pretty sweet deal. The shells are so expensive, which is like an unfortunate thing for me because the goal for us is to share the leather with more people. It's just such an expensive thing that I try to sneak in some stuff every now and then just so you can check it out for yourself and see like what the difference is in person, because there's a really big difference. Douglas Lambert says, how many cards would you say the machine gun jack could hold? Well, it's been a while since I've done this, but you can really, really load it up, and people have done that. But if I remember correctly, like 8 to 12 is sort of the sweet spot. If you use less cards, it's also nice. But the thing about all the shell Cordovan, as well as any veg tan leather, is this is going to mold around anything you put inside of it. So you can load it up pretty hard. The problem with loading it up hard, let's say you put 12 cards inside of this and then you go down to 4, it's going to be really loose because it's going to form and want to hold 12 cards. So you can't really go down too much, but you can kind of always go up. But I'd say about 12 is like sweet spot max. You could go harder on it, and people have done that. I don't know. I find when you put 10 cards in something like this, it's hard to find which card you want to use because there's no division. So I find putting a ton of cards like that to be like a little annoying to use for me personally, just because I want to be able to find the card I need, like when I need it. Jim says the US is just, the ultraviolet is just awesome color. It's really nice. I wish I had some magenta shell to show you because it's even lighter and like more pink, but that's a color the tannery's barely made. Let's keep it going here. Again, if you guys have anything you want to see in advance, I'm just going to keep running my agenda and show you Herbie's, but if there's a product you want to see, let me know and I can run through them. In fact, you can also stop me. I'm going to try my best to read the chat here. This is a Fat Herbie and something I've never seen, and I love it. It kind of reminds me of the psychedelic shells, but those psychedelics had sort of like a green and pink vibe. This one sort of has like a reddish brown and green, which I also like it. I don't know if I like it more. I think I like them both about the same. It's really cool looking. And what this is actually the reverse side of marbled cigar. So if you look at the center piece here, this is actually marbled cigar shell inside of the bill slot here. And when you flip that backwards, you get this sort of greenish brown sometimes. This seems like a bit of an anomaly piece here. We don't tend to see dye marks that are this intense, which is why we're including it in the private stock. I think this is probably my favorite of 3. I have 3 like super favorites. They're all really nice. There's a couple that really stand out to me. This is one of them. Here's another one that stands out though. Check out this Dublin piece. So this is English Tan Dublin with some really dramatic figuring in the grain. It has a really great texture to it. Rodrigo says, do I have any marbled ultraviolet? I don't know. I might. Rodrigo, the best thing to do would be to email my brother Matt and ask him. He'll go down and check the inventory, and he can even send you photos. So email Matt at info@ashlandleather.com and ask him if we have any marbled UV. But man, I love this Dublin piece. And then the inside is a leather called Blue Rockford. It's kind of like the Dublin in the sense that it has a waxy surface finish to it. But the Rockford leather is a little bit less dense and it has a little less oil to it. So you're able to get a little bit brighter shades. And the Blue Rockford is really, really vivid. And I like it a lot. We also have these hidden card slots underneath. So it's not sewn all the way down. It's just these 2 cards are sewn together. So you get a little bit more division. You can fit a little bit larger pieces of paper or something underneath there. Oh. Okay, here's something also pretty wild. So this is marbled boxboard color 8 shell. So the way that they make this is they will make a color 8 shell, layer on all that finish, and then put a texture in it called boxboard, which looks like this. And then they'll scrape away the finish and sort of knock off the peaks of that texture in the same way that they knocked off the peaks of that football leather. And it's created a pretty interesting look. Let me see if I can do a better job describing this. It's pretty interesting. Something that I like to look at is the spine here. So like that look is pretty cool. So something like this on a shoe, it might be like a pretty loud, aggressive shoe in this particular color, but they could do a look like this in a little bit more subtle color, I think that would look pretty unique and awesome. So this is the marbled boxboard, color 8 on the Fat Herbie, and it's got a reverse piece up here, and it's a reverse color 8, and the whole interior of this guy is also reverse color 8. Oh, another special. There's a lot of special. So this is a leather that is becoming less and less common. In fact, it's never been common, but we're running out of it. So this is a leather that the tannery, Horween, tanned in 1941. So this is the 1940s calf skin. And the legend, which is true, is they were never able to reproduce this leather again, and they tried for a bunch of years. It was actually a leather called timber tanned calf back then, and they lost the formula. They were never able to do it again. It's pretty interesting. It ranges in texture. This is like the more aggressive look in terms of texture. Sometimes it's a little bit more flat in texture. That's really, really cool. It's a great color, especially in person. It's sort of like a vibrant natural shade. And we've got that sitting on top of some color 4 shell. This one's also hand stitched with a little bit of a thicker thread. And the interior, this is where it gets even crazier. So we've got hand glazed reverse shell here on top of some color 8 reverse card slot dividers. So there's hidden card slots underneath. And another hand stitch for these cards here in a different color. So this is a really, really unique Herbie. And yeah, 80-year-old leathers. It's kind of bizarre to think about how long this has been sitting around at the tannery when I feel it in my hand here. But it's, even without the story, it's just a really, really nice leather, which is why they tried to reproduce it for so long. It's just a shame that they can't get it again, because that's really cool. So I'm going to try to clean up the Herbies here and get you some more stuff. What do you want to see next? I think I'm going to we'll do some Bugs Moran next. I forget how much I'm charging for the 1940s calf. It's actually around the Cordovan price, so it's probably around 3. Well, there's some hidden card slots in there, and it's hand stitched. That's going to be kind of expensive because the hidden card slots are an additional charge, and the hand stitching is also an additional charge. So it gets pricey. I think that one's going to be closer to like 4. I forget how much we put it up for. All right, we're getting there. One more look at this guy. This is so cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I wish we could do this again. All right. Almost there. Yeah, let's do Bugs and Tony's next. Is non-shell hand stitched? It can be. I have a non-shell hand stitched wallet right here. So this is Bugs Moran. And I'll pull the brand out in a second. This is a Bugs Moran with some blue hand stitching in English tan. And I really like the blue hand stitch as well as the orange hand stitch. Tend to go nicely with a lot of things. And it's chunkier. It's definitely more casual of a vibe than the machine stitch stuff. The other thing that's really neat here on the interior, brown chrome excel on top of ink cavalier. It's like a blue shade that might be hard for me to show you here, but it's got a really light aqua, sort of like vivid blue undertone to it that's really nice. And then of course that hand stitching. So yeah, we can do non-shell stuff hand stitched. Let me grab that brand for you one more time. Boom. So It's either an infinity sign or a 8. It's pretty wild. So this is that world traveler. This is more of like a passport holder design. The big piece of color reverse on the outside, and the card slots on the right, and then you can put a passport here underneath the brand on the left. All right, we got 25 minutes. We're gonna keep it rolling here. All right, this is something funky. I'd never seen this before, but this is like a raw black shell, and I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm not sure what it is, but it seems like the raw black shell to me. This might have been some sort of other experiment that the tannery was doing, but it's Cordovan. You can see the shell inside, but it's definitely duller than the regular shell stuff, and it's kind of interesting. I've never seen one in black before. On the inside here, we've got raw natural and that same like raw black for the vertical card slots. And if you're not familiar with this guy, you fit your cards in through this direction, but there's also these card slots underneath, so you can sort of fit more cards under here on both sides. Here's another. This is like a prototype thing, also hand stitched. So this is Western Denim blue on a Bugs Moran, and you can see it sort of snapped closed. This is something that we've been experimenting with that we're not certain about yet, so we're not going to offer it, but we do have one prototype here with Western blue hand stitch, snap closure, and vertical card slots. You got raw denim and reverse blue card holders on the top. This is a pretty neat look on the inside of this one, and that snap closure works pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with this. The concern for this guy was getting cards in and out nicely. You can kind of see how it's creased a little bit. We experimented loading this up with some cards, and it works really well. So you can easily fit cards even with that snap on the left there. Here is a Tony the Ant in Whiskey Shell. This is the cleanest, most straightforward of the private stock. It's just a really nice piece of Whiskey Shell on Tony the Ant. So we got Whiskey Shell on the outside and Whiskey Shell on the inside. Here is another one, Tony the Ant in the raw denim. You can kind of see, like, let's compare the luster. So it doesn't have a bright mirror-like shine like a normal shell. It's a little bit more of like a matte finish. Grod Pro, I'm not sure how much the snap closure. The problem with this one, again, anytime that we do the hand stitch, it's more expensive. So I think this one's like almost $3. Normally it's $220, or normally it's $250 with the card slot. So you're getting a pretty good deal, being that this one's hand stitched. I think it's going to be like $295 or something like that. So raw denim on this Tony, again, a little bit less bright, less shiny, and definitely more of a blue. Like, something happens when you polish the leather, it gets a little darker, so it's more of like a straightforward blue. But when you wear this, it's going to darken up and shine quite a bit. It's going to look kind of like normal shell, just with normal use here. But on the inside, we've got an additional piece of raw Cordovan, but this is the natural color. So I like that this one has raw inside and out in just two different colors. Here's a fun one. This is a green shell with a pink hand stitch, which is kind of neat. I don't think I've ever seen something with this color thread before. It's pretty cool. Let me give you a look at the inside that have, of course, upside down. These lower card slots here are actually reverse black, which appear more green. So you get a little bit more range of color of green shells on the inside of this one. Yeah, you guys like the snap, huh? I like it too. I'm surprised at how much I like it. We were a little worried. We're still worried about it, and we want to do some more testing. But we thought it'd be good to get that one out into the world. Here's a tall Tony. And anybody that's followed these videos for a while probably heard me talk about how nice the garnet shells that we're cutting from are. And we still have a decent amount of them. It's a super nice piece of garnet shell here. Really, really rich feeling, super smooth. It's a great luster. So this tall Tony with that huge piece of garnet shell on the outside, It's really nice. On the inside, more garnet shell. So this is probably the second most clean one that we have. Usually there are like a lot of funky combos, different colors stuff. Here is a Western Color 8 shell, tall Tony. And that's again with the bill slot that goes all the way to the top. Take a look inside the bill slot here. This is Western Whiskey, and we flipped it backwards for the interior. So you get this funky pattern inside. That's pretty sweet. So this is the Western Whiskey, which is my tongue twister warm-up inside of some Western Color 8. I really, really like this one. It's also got a really great thickness. It's not too thick. It seems just about right. Here's another tall Tony, and speaking of thickness, this is one of the thicker wallets we've ever done. It's kind of a big boy. All these layers of leather. So you got black shell on the outside, extra thick pieces of shell. Like I mentioned, a lot of people were asking for thicker wallets from us, and they're rare. Like this is really, really thick. This is probably like 6 or 7 ounces. Super thick piece on the exterior. And then you can see these pieces are a little thinner for the inside. We have black reverse in the inside with stamps on every single piece. So that's a really, really cool tall Tony. This is another one. This is, I talk about my top 3 favorites. This might be one of the 3. This leather on the back bill slot here, the darker brown, is not shell, but it does have a really bright, shiny luster in the way that shell has a bright, shiny luster. This is actually a horsehide strip that is veg tanned alongside the shells, and it's got incredible bits of striations and that figuring in the grain. I'm going to give you a close-up of this to show you how it's not shell. So if you look down the spine, and I'll get it real close if I can. See those little hair holes in grain character? The horse strips are really, really grainy. So you tend to see that character much more pronounced on the strips as opposed to like a regular shell. You'll notice that this doesn't have any of those hair holes at all. It's just super smooth. And hopefully this is a good demonstration. But the shells have no grain at all. They're just flat and smooth. So that's kind of why I like this horsehide strip. It's just really grainy. Really, really grainy. And the luster is so bright that I have a hard time showing you what it looks like because it just reflects the light back. There's also some incredible bits of striation and figuring in this natural shell piece in the center. This sort of like spiderwebby look is continued on the outside here. And then we have a olive green hand stitching, which I also really like. So we've got that same look going on the inside. All the bits of figuring and character, that's sort of what this one's all about. And I've been into the green and brown together. That's a special Tony. Well, what else do we have? Oh, we got some foxes and compones. We're running low on time here. We got 15 minutes. Let's blast through these last ones. Foxes, capones, and then one-piece card holders. All right, so here's a fox that I've never seen before. 100% black shell Cordovan, and it's really special. Let me get my focus back. Normally, we can't make black shell or black marble shells for the interior, but we found one piece, and we were able to make this fox, and it's super nice. When I talk about the top 3 favorites, I don't know. There's multiple. I like them all. This is raw denim shell, Johnny the Fox, and this one has that really cool amaretto interior. Or is this the whiskey one? No, this is the amaretto. So this is the amaretto shell interior with a blue stitch, and then the raw denim on the outside. I like that we've complemented the exterior onto the inside with this blue stitching. Let me show you the other one while we're at it. So we got blue Rockford. This is the leather we talked about a little earlier. It's a more vibrant version of the Dublin. It's a little less dense, a little bit more pillowy, but you're able to get brighter shades from the Rockford leather, which I like. And this is the one with the whiskey interior. That's really clean. I wish we could do more shell interiors of wallets. It's just hard to get thin pieces of leather for the Fox interiors. Here's another cool one. I like this combo a lot. This is Color 8 Chrome Excel on the outside with Color 8 and mock horsehide on the interior. I like this burgundy tan combo, and we've got the burgundy stitching to sort of set all that off and frame it off. I think that looks really nice. And then a jumbo Fox here. This one is all black shell, and it's a huge piece of black shell on the outside. I'll give you a look at the size of the jumbo Fox. It's bigger than the regular giant Fox because we have an additional card holder on the left and right and the additional bill slot divider right here. Here's some, let's get to the capones. So this capone is really neat. Jim, this is what your clip is going to look like. We talked about getting you a gold clip, and they're pretty sweet. So we put this gold clip on a Color 8 Scotch grain capone, and I'm really satisfied with how clean this one looks. There's something about the Color 8 and gold together that I really enjoy. This one's really special. Here's another special one. I like this combo too with the English tan and teal. I'm kind of surprised at how well these two colors work together, but it definitely works. It looks great. And we've got that same sort of look on the inside. Here's another one that's special. We did a video in February, I think, or January, watching Amir make almost this exact same wallet with the black Western on top of some garnet shell. And how great does that black and red look? It's awesome. A vintage future. I know you like my voice. I don't even have any effects going on through it this time. Normally I put some like de-essers and compression on my voice. So you just like it raw. All right. So the garnet, black Western, red stitch, and the inside. So we kind of flipped it around, right? So we don't have the Western black. You've got the Western garnet with some reverse on the left. That's a really cool capone. I want to show you the two other one-piece card holders. And again, these are prototypes that we haven't released. I think I want to make this a standard item. I like it that much. This is a raw denim piece of a single piece of leather that goes all the way around and just wraps around for the two card holders. And then we sort of border stitched it on those card holders. I just think that's such a great look. It just feels correct. Everything about this I love. So we got the raw denim. We had another one I showed you earlier in the ultraviolet. And we also have this Western whiskey, which is super neat. It's like really refined feeling. Even though it's a single piece of leather, there's just something correct about that to me. What else we got? Oh, we got some watch straps. In fact, we got some NATO straps. We got 10 minutes. Or we'll blast through these two and hope they can answer your questions for a couple minutes. And the key buddies. Okay, NATO straps. We don't offer NATO straps normally because they're really long pieces of leather. This piece goes from this tip all the way around and it wraps around. This is, again, one single piece of leather and it's super long. Most of the shells that we get aren't long enough to make a NATO strap. And on top of that, I've observed that most people need the leather to be a little bit more thin for a NATO strap. So Matt made this one for the private stock event. It's hand stitched with a black hand stitch. The leather's black. All the edges he stained black, and all the hardware is black. So this is like a stealthed out sort of ninja NATO strap in a 20 millimeter lug width. Here's one more NATO strap that Matt made. This one has some red stitching, but we have the silver hardware on this. This is the hardware that we like a little bit better. It just doesn't come in a black finish. I find that it's a little bit easier to sort of loop this strap back around for that traditional NATO style into one of these rings. And here's some Lupe Specials. Lupe makes a lot of these watch straps, and she does a really good job putting together fun combinations. So this is 2 layers of black chrome excel. You can see black chrome excel on the top side. This is the side that will face the world, and then this is the part that will touch your wrist. So you'll get chrome excel touching your wrist, which is super smooth. And then this has sort of a blue border stitching to it that turned out really well. Here's another blue leather, intense blue, shell though this time, with orange stitching. So you kind of get this like navy orange Chicago Bears vibe out of this one. But the underside, I think this is actually Essex, bold orange Essex underneath. So you get this softer feeling strap underneath. And she likes to do these color combos. I also like that they're a little thicker. There's still something magical about an online strap that I find to be just more comfortable, but they tend to be thinner. Here's a green and tan one. So we got green shell on this side with the tan underneath. I think this is actually the mock horsehide latigo that we do. And we've got that sort of tan stitching around the border. One more watch strap is this is color 8 reverse, and this is hand stitched with a burgundy stitch. So you can see the color 8. This is the part that will touch your wrist here. And then the side that faces the world is those funky dye marks. And let's wrap it up with these guys, I guess. So this is a new design that we're going to start offering next week. There are going to be 2 up in the private stock at 5 o'clock today. So like in an hour and a half. I really like this. Let me show you the one I'm using. I was using a different English tan one, but I'm trying a shell one now. So this is a color 8 shell, and we're calling this the keychain belt clip. So color 8 shell with this clip. I clip this to my belt loop, and I think a lot of people are going to want to do it backwards from the way I'm doing it. But I put all my keys on this side and then loop this to my belt and then stick this in my pocket. You could also take this same loop that snaps undone. You could take this ring off of that side, which is, again, the way I prefer it. You can put the ring on this clip side and sort of clip all your stuff here and then loop this around your belt like that. I find that when I want to drive my car, I don't really want to like unclip it from my belt. So I like this sort of quick release closure of this guy, which is why we're doing it. Because I was using a carabiner for a while and I just wanted a better option. I've been using that carabiner for like 15 years and I just wanted more leather, I guess. So this is the way I prefer to use it. Let's see. You clip this to your belt, put all your keys and stuff on this side. This is one hardware option that we're not going with. It's a little bit more like a modern vibe for this clip. We decided to go more of like a heritage vintage vibe with this one, which is the one I've been using and testing. I really like it. I think this is really nice. So this is a new part of my daily carry. And if you want to get one, they're not going to be for sale yet, with the exception of these 2. But we're going to do a release, like a special release of a bunch of different colors next week. These are the first 2 from the production samples that we've ever made, and we're just going to offer them to you. So if you want to pick up, one of the first ones, they're going to be up. These are $35. So it's pretty cheap, especially because these buckles are like $6. I'm trying to keep the price down the best I can. So let me flip the camera around. We got like 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. What's up? Autofocus. We made it. We made it through all the stuff. Whew, that's a lot of wallets. So, do you guys have any questions? I'm going to have to call it short today because I want to make sure that I launch all the stuff correctly and on time on the site. But I'm still here. If you want any more questions about any of the private stock stuff, we can get a look at it now. Actually, if you want an even better look, I put up yesterday photos of every single one of these on our Facebook page. And I don't really promote our Facebook page very much, but it's where I drop most of our photos just because it's nice for my brother and I to share photos across there. And it's a good place to just catalog all the stuff that we've done. So if you want to see better detailed images of all the private stock stuff, check out the Facebook page. I can't pick a stunner from these. They're all stunners, but there's still like 5 that are like some of the craziest things I've ever seen, including this guy here, which I love. This is that marbled cigar all reverse, and I think it's really neat. This is cool. We got that snap wallet that you guys seem to like. I'm still using this guy. So there's some new stuff. Oh, the other thing is those one singular piece of leather card holders I really like. I want to start using one of these. This guy here. There's something kind of magical about this very simple, clean design with these turned edges that I love. Oh, the 1940s calf. Vintage Future says, all joking aside, great job to Lupe, Amir, and the team. The 1941's calf is particularly fascinating. This is MCC said, what hood are you wearing? This is a gift from my wife. This is a 316 sweatshirt that I got for my birthday. So my wife is very smart, and she asked my friend Nick Horween what to get me. And my wife said, oh, Phil likes sweatshirts. So he suggested this, and I really like it, actually. I've been wearing it a lot. The only problem is it's really light, so I tend to work in a dirty environment, so I don't know if I like the light color as much, but I do like it. Also, I want to tell the people that have dropped us tips over the last couple of weeks, it's really nice. We actually bought Indian food today, so everybody in the team wanted to say thanks for lunch. It was really nice. A stunner number 1, Blue Whiskey Fox. Yeah. Here's the blue whiskey. Here's stunner number 1. And stunner number 2, Reverse Cigar. It's number 3. People like the brand. All right. Let's get that brand one back out here. Yeah, I'm just surrounded by wallets right now. Oh, that's not the brand. Where is the brand one? Oh, there it is. It's pretty crazy, right? The brand. How can I get my hands on one of those green watch straps with contrasting stitch? Well, Brock, in 32 minutes on the website, ashlandleather.com, there's a tab at the top that says sale. At 5 o'clock Central, click on that tab. Everything I just had in the video will be up on that page. It's hard because they tend to go quickly. The watch straps don't go as like immediate as some of the wallets do, so you might have a good chance to grab that watch strap. But you know, hit refresh at 5 o'clock, and I'll put up all these items. You should be able to grab, or maybe fight somebody for one of those watch straps. The other thing is it kind of sounds annoying for me to say, but you kind of have to do your order processing quickly, because if somebody does the checkout first, it's a possibility we've seen that you can have a wallet in your cart and then somebody else can sort of snipe it away from you. So you don't want to hang out too long in there, just as a heads up. And don't worry about it too. Like if you buy something and then 5 minutes later you go, never mind, I don't want that. Just email us and we can refund you. So don't worry about it too much. Like it's not a big deal for us to just cancel the order and refund you. If you're unsure about something, just try to grab it. Jared Smith, any updates on when you'll have more psychedelic shell? You had mentioned Skip was working on it. I talked to Skip today. He said he found one more piece of psychedelic shell that he is going to polish and sell to us, but he still hasn't been able to reproduce it. He has that one piece, I think it was from the original time he did it, and they just forgot to finish it. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do that again. I also really like this. Like I think if we did a polished reverse of this, I think I kind of like this a little bit more. Maybe it's not as psychedelic, but it's a little bit more chill, I guess. It's really neat. So yeah, I'm gonna have to turn off the camera here. Thank you guys for checking out all this stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff in the private stock today. Again, if you want to see better photos or like a better image of what these things look like in the next half hour before they go up, you can find all the photos on the Facebook page that I took and put up yesterday. So there's like 250 photos I put up there. Each of these wallets gets like 5 or 6 photos, so you should be able to get like a good idea from that. And yesterday we put up a 4K video of all these things that might give you a better sense of what the things look like, because I know the streaming quality is not as good. What's the next Halloween surprise color? I don't know. I might be going there next week. My schedule's been really hard, like having a kid and everything. So I haven't been able to go over there as much as I want. I'm kind of like always behind at Ashland. But I'd like to go over there and check stuff out. I have an idea. I have so many ideas. But I have an idea to go there. They have these racks full of leather. And a lot of people that come to this YouTube channel are leather crafters. So I was thinking of taking the camera and pulling stuff off their leather racks just to show you like what they have. And then if you're into one, it could be like a virtual shopping for leather crafters and try to connect you with the resellers for Horween, like Maverick and Tannery Row. It's fun to look at their racks of leather. They just have so much stuff. It's kind of like how much stuff we have, but to the next level. There's so many leathers and colors. All right, see you later, Jim. No one better to buy the machine gun jack I want. There's 4 machine gun jacks, so you can probably have a good chance of getting one of those. Fight me for that strap, Jake Dog. We can always make you another one too, so don't sweat it too much. You know, if there's something that sells out, just let us know and we'll make you one. You can have the strap. I don't have a watch. All right, guys. Well, thanks. Happy Good Friday. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you have a good weekend too. Hope you enjoy your Easter. And again, if you have any questions, I'll be around my email for the next half hour. If you want to email me, it's phil@ashlandleather.com, and I'll do my best to help you out. So until next time, guys, thanks again for checking out the live stream today, and I'll see you again next week. All right.